What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from ActionMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to talk about Getaway. There are so many movies called Getaway, so click like and subscribe, and I'll tell you which one. This is a 2024 movie starring Nick Frost. It's a Shudder title / IFC. It was released towards the end of the year. It interestingly was not given to me as part of my FYC package, even though it's a 2024 release. I guess they just didn't care. Anyway, I watched the movie, and I can kind of see why, except for, like, some awards bodies do have, like, best horror film, like best genre type film categories. So, I mean, you could try to pander and get those kind of votes, but I guess if you're Shudder and you know that you've already got Late Night with the Devil and Oddity, I don't know, like, how many times do you think you can appear in the same category would be the question. I think maybe Getaway was not. And that's fair. Like, it's not my favorite horror movie of the year. But it could have been. This movie has so much potential to it, especially considering the vibe. The funny thing is I looked up this movie because I was trying to figure out what it was and whether or not to watch it. I noticed it was rated R for strong violence and gore, but it was being billed as a comedy. I was like, huh, that's interesting. Um, so I was interested to see what that meant and where that would go. So I rented the thing with audio description because my AMC Plus subscription is useless. Um, at this point, I don't. If they weren't making Walking Dead shows, I don't know. Um, but yeah, so it has an audio description track. It's audio-wise. Tristan Snyder's the narrator. He does a pretty good job here. I don't normally like him on dramatic horror movies. I think he did Immaculate. I think that's right. Somebody did Immaculate and it was too light for me. Like, wasn't the right voice for Immaculate. But this is a horror comedy, so the tonality matches more what Tristan's voice is. Tristan just doesn't have a scary voice. Tristan's voice is like the least. I'm not intimidated at all. Like, get off my property. Okay, Tristan. It was like, I miss him on The Good Doctor. Actually, The Good Doctor's over, so it doesn't really even matter if I miss him. But it's sad that he didn't get to finish out The Good Doctor. So he does a good job here, and the writing is fine. It leans into the horror elements like it's supposed to. There's not really a whole lot of diversity in the cast here, but I have a feeling this isn't a really diverse cast. I just feel like it's trying to go for a certain vibe, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch of white people, because this feels like a horror comedy version of Midsomer. So Nick Frost is with his family, and they're supposed to be going on this vacation, and they're being warned. Like, they go to this bar, and they're supposed to be taking this ferry out to this island, I guess, and where they're going to spend some time for their holiday, a nice little getaway. They have like a little sort of like a B&B type place. And everything, but everything around them is like ominously dark. Everybody around them seems like clearly everybody's in a horror movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's just like feels very nefarious around them. And the bar guy's like, "Don't go there." He's very stern. But Nick Frost is great at playing sort of these goofy, likable, bumbling, idiot type people. It's his type. This is his type. And so he takes his family off, and they head over there. And of course, they're greeted by like the Doom Squad. Like, it's like it feels like a cult. And they're like, "Why are you here? We've come to see your play." They've heard about some play or something that they do on this island, and so the local people are clearly about to have some sort of weird ritual. and they've come to see what they think is like a play, and I guess enjoy the island. And then we see that there's more sort of nefarious stuff that got them pulled there to begin with, but they're out enjoying things. And there's one scene where the kids, I can't, he's got, his kids are a little bit older. They're like both teenage aged kids. And at one point his wife just offers him a blowjob. Like, he's sitting there just pondering life. And she's like, would you like a blowjob? And he's like, I think I would. It's, um, it's, it's a, and then it changes and the movie flips. And so, okay, so I'm here for it. But at the same time, you can't just flip without hinting at all at the possibility of a flip. You can't do this. This is why the movie has a 5.4, is because everybody's like, okay, that was fun, but it's almost like you worked too hard with misdirection to get us to a point. And then you were like, aha, gotcha. And it's like, there's a way that you write it in the script where we're able to sort of see things ahead of time, and we can go back through, and I'm sort of interested in and seeing like did that really work? I actually ended up watching, I didn't like the movie, but I watched Cadu like twice because I was very curious about their twist and whether or not it worked, even though I thought the movie was slow. But the twist was so audacious that I felt like I had to rewatch the movie to see and be like, wait a minute, what? And here, not as paying attention, the movie's pretty surface level, it's pretty easy to understand, and then they just flip a switch and the movie becomes something else, and you're just like, it's fun, but how did you get here? And I was sort of enjoying where I thought this movie was headed. I was thinking, okay, this is going to be like a Midsomer parody. And it is sort of, I mean, it is sort of still that, but it decides to throw, and I'm definitely not spoiling it, because the whole purpose of watching this movie is to see that flip. That's obviously what they care about, and what they want you to experience is the gotcha. So I don't want to I'm not going to ruin the gotcha, but there's a gotcha here, and I'll ruin that much for you, in case you're wondering. Like, is this movie straightforward? Sort of, um, to a point. Yeah, I mean, it kind of does remain this tourists stumbling upon this weird cultish community. I mean, that is a thing, but there's like this other part to it that comes in the third act, which dramatically changes things. And I was here for it, but I want to back up from that and say, you don't get bonus points for being able to like surprise people with that and be like, oof, look at it, we hit it perfectly in plain sight. Well, no, you just made a bold choice in the third act of the film. You didn't really earn it. There was nothing there to suggest that it was coming, and therefore it feels like an odd choice for characters. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I make a James Bond movie, this is not what this is. If I make a James Bond movie and I'm selling you the whole time that he's, a super spy 007 agent, and then in the third act of the film, suddenly he's not, and he's, I don't know, a circus clown pretending to be a spy, you're gonna be like, what? That's a bold choice, but it's not gonna be earned because I didn't establish anything that had to do with him being a circus clown. And you're like, well, how did he? I don't understand. It's just, it kind of feels like that. It feels like, okay, so you made a choice. It's a choice. And it was fun, but at the same time, that's what keeps your movie from being great, is the fact that you decided to make the choice without, there wasn't a way for you creatively as a filmmaker or as a screenwriter, or either way, to have breadcrumbs leading to that. So you were too afraid that the breadcrumbs would be spotted and that you would like somehow ruin your grand reveal. And I would prefer the breadcrumbs. I would prefer the couple little things along the way. And I don't think those are there. I think this movie relishes in the fact that it gotcha. Fine. You got me. I did not see the third act twist coming. But at the same time, I didn't need the twist, and I kind of liked where the movie was going anyway, and you could have worked relatively the same thing in without having to completely flip the movie on its head. Just, that's the best way I can do to describe this movie. I refuse to spoil it, but because it's something where you'll go, oh shit. It's kind of great, but at the same time, is the film violent and gory? Yeah, it is. It is, very bloody. It's not like, it's not as gory as like some other films. Obviously, like the substance just kind of like changed. What is gore? I feel like even Terrifier was like, girl, calm down. I'm trying to do something over here, and you're you're stealing my thunder. Like, I was supposed to be the most shocking movie of the year, and now everybody's talking about you, and nobody's talking about me, and I'm very upset. So, no, it's not like at that level of gore, or like in the violent nature or anything like that. It's pretty standard horror comedy gore, but there's a lot of it. And Nick Frost is reliably Nick Frost in this movie. So I think the 5.3 on IMDb is a little low. I'm like, you walked into this expecting what? Like, what did you walk into expecting? Because I walked into this expecting a Nick Frost horror comedy, and I got a Nick Frost horror comedy, and I got one that's clearly somewhat parodying Midsomer to some extent, or movies like Midsomer, and that's what I enjoyed about it. So it just overplays it. Luckily, it has audio description, so I can actually grade this thing instead of being like, it's unwatchable due to lack of audio, which is what it would have been if I had watched it through AMC Plus, where it does not have audio description, even though they made audio description for it, because AMC Plus does not support audio description and it uses. Jesus. So Getaway. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a B- on this. I would have gone a little bit higher because, like I said, I like the vibe where it was going. I just don't think you earned it. I don't think you earned the thing that you think you earned. I don't like, cool, but also I expect you to be a competent filmmaker or screenwriter, and we should be able to look back and be like, oh yeah, oh god, there was that, and then there was that, and oh man, yeah, that makes sense. That doesn't feel like this. It just feels like, look what we did. Okay, bold choices, B-. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.